Welcome to the Yellow Belt Class Training 5. Let's begin. Go skate! Ready! Yo. Let's begin with prayer. God, thank you so much for another opportunity to train. Lord, thank you for the blessings that you've given us in our lives, Lord. Lord, I pray that we would glorify you and we would honor you in everything that we do this week. In Jesus' name, amen. Let's begin by reviewing the character quality. Endurance versus giving up. The inward strength to withstand stress to accomplish God's best. For you know that when your faith is tested, your endurance has a chance to grow. So let it grow. For when your endurance is fully developed, you will be perfect and complete, needing nothing. James 1:3-4. Let's warm up. Jumping jacks, begin. Ich, ni, san, shi, go, rook, sich, hach, gu, ju, hey, ich, ni, san, shi, go, rook, sich, hach, gu, ju, hey, ich, ni, san, shi, go, rook, sich, hach, gu, ju, hey, ich, ni, san, shi, go, rook, sich, hach, gu, ju, hey, ich, ni, san, shi, go, rook, sich, hach, gu, ju, up down, ich, ni, san, go, rook, sich, hach, gu, ju, side to side, ni, san, shi, go, rook, sich, hach, gu, ju, forward and back, ich, ni, san, shi, go, rook, sich, hach, gu, ju, on rotations forward, small, ni, go, rook, sich, hach, gu, ju, reverse, go, rook, sich, hach, gu, ju, big ones forward, ich, ni, san, shi, go, rook, sich, hach, gu, ju, reverse, ich, ni, san, shi, go, rook, sich, hach, gu, ju, over and under, ni, san, shi, go, rook, sich, hach, gu, ju. Now may swing backs, ich, ni, san, shi, go, rook, sich, hach, gu, ju, twist the ball of your foot, ich, ni, san, shi, go, rook, sich, hach, gu, ju, stretch to your side, ich, ni, san, shi, go, rook, sich, hach, gu, ju, twist punch, ich, ni, san, shi, go, rook, sich, hach, gu, ju, torso rotations, ich, ni, san, shi, go, rook, sich, hach, gu, ju, other direction, ich, ni, son, she, go, rook, sich, hutch, goo, Jew to the side, high block, reverse punch, ich, knee, son, she, go, rook, sich, hutch, goo, Jew, other direction, ich, knee, son, she, go, rook, sich, hutch, goo, Jew. Legs apart, stretch up, breathe in, breathe out, down, ich, knee, son, she, go, rook, sich, hutch, goo, Jew, to the side, ich, knee, son, she, go, rook, sich, hutch, goo, Jew, other direction, ich, knee, son, she, go, rook, sich, hutch, goo, Jew. Ankle rotations. Ich, knee, son, she, go, rook, sich, hutch, goo, Jew, other direction. Ich, knee, son, she, go, rook, sich, hutch, goo, Jew. Hip rotations. Ich, knee, son, she, go, rook, sich, hutch, goo, Jew, other direction, ich, knee, son, she, go, rook, sich, hutch, goo, Jew, side to side, ich, knee, son, she, go, rook, sich, hutch, goo, Jew. Front kick, stretch, low level, ich, knee, son, she, go, rook, sich, hutch, goo, Jew, mid-level, ich, knee, son, she, go, rook, sich, hutch, goo, Jew, switch, low level, ich, knee, son, she, go, rook, sich, hutch, goo, Jew, mid-level, ich, knee, son, she, go, rook, sich, hutch, goo, Jew, side, low level, ich, knee, son, she, go, rook, sich, hutch, goo, Jew, mid-level, ich, knee, son, she, go, rook, sich, hutch, goo, Jew, other side, low level, ich, knee, son, she, go, rook, siege, hutch, gu, ju, mid-level, ich, ni, son, she, go, rook, siege, hutch, gu, ju. Knee rotations, ich, ni, son, she, go, rook, siege, hutch, gu, ju, other direction on, ich, ni, son, she, go, rook, siege, hutch, gu, ju, in and out, ich, ni, son, she, go, rook, siege, hutch, gu, ju, calf stretch, ich, ni, son, she, go, rook, siege, hutch, gu, ju, mountain climbers, ich, ni, son, she, go, rook, siege, hutch, gu, ju, ich, ni, son, she, go, rook, siege, hutch, gu, ju, ich, ni, son, she, go, rook, siege, hutch, gu, ju, and yummy. Squat kicks. Ich, ni, son, she, go, rook, siege, hutch, gu, ju, push-ups, ich, ni, son, she, go, rook, siege, hutch, gu, ju, ich, ni, son, she, go, rook, siege, hutch, gu, ju, ich, ni, son, she, go, rook, siege, hutch, gu, ju, ich, ni, son, she, go, rook, siege, hutch, gu, ju. Front snap kick. Ich, ni, son, she, go, rook, siege, hutch, gu, ju, hey, switch, ich, ni, son, she, go, rook, siege, hutch, gu, ju, hey, roundhouse kick, lead leg, ich, ni, son, she, go, rook, siege, hutch, gu, ju, hey, switch, ich, ni, son, she, go, rook, siege, hutch, gu, ju, hey. Balance drill, right leg up. Ich, ni, son, she, go, rook, sich, hutch, go, ju to the side, ich, me, son, she, go, rook, sich, hutch, go, ju back, ich, me, son, she, go, rook, sich, hutch, go, ju roundhouse forward, ich, me, son, she, go, rook, sich, hutch, go, ju, and relax. Other leg up, ich, me, son, she, go, rook, sich, hutch, go, ju to the side, ich, me, son, she, go, rook, sich, hutch, go, ju, back, ich, me, son, she, go, rook, sich, hutch, go, ju, roundhouse forward, ich, me, son, she, go, rook, sich, hutch, go, ju, and relax. Let's spend some time concentrating again on the front stance. Now, in the past, you've learned the front stance, you've gone stepping with the front stance, applied some technique to the front stance, learned some formations, and started working on your kata. And what happens over the course of time is, as you get to more and more complicated techniques with your stances, sometimes just concentrating on the stance gets neglected. So every once in a while, what you want to do with all of your basics is just isolate that basic and just work on that again, even if you've practiced it a lot in the past, just so we can make sure that all of the techniques and concepts of that basic are going where they need to go as far as the direction goes. Let's go ahead and start with the front stance with our hands on our hips. Go ahead and step back with your right leg. Now what we want to do is just think about some of the concepts that we should be working on the stance. Making sure that our knee is not bent out, making sure it's bent far enough, pointing that back foot forward so that we can push, making sure our hips are straight up and down, not tilted. Let's go ahead and step forward and back a few times per leg, just thinking about our stance. Here we go. Ich, me, son, she, go, rook, sich, hutch, go, ju, and switch. Now in your mind, I want you to have one or two key things that you're working on. For instance, it could be making sure that I don't do this when I step forward. That's a very common thing in the beginning. You might not have noticed it before, but see if when you step forward, if you do that. Or if you're relaxing the knee to be able to go forward. Or making sure you push off this back leg. Okay, think about these things. Come up with one or two things that you're going to work on right now. Here we go, stepping forward. Ich, knee, son, she, go, rook, sich, hutch, go, ju, and yame. I would encourage you, as you practice, sometimes go off to the side and just isolate one thing. One basic that you've done in the past, maybe a low block, high block, punch, kick, a stance, and just work through that for a little bit and make sure that you concentrate on one or two elements. And if you do this, when you combine them to forms, katas, sparring, those things will get better and better over the course of time. Let's work on the front stance, going full speed and full power, concentrating on pushing off of that back foot quickly and then stopping quickly. We're going to do this with just our hands on our hips, concentrating again just on isolating that front stance. Start with your hands on your hips. Let's step back with your right leg. Now we're going to be going forward again as quickly as possible. But one thing that we want to do when we do quick technique is we never want to sacrifice technique for speed. So when I say as quick as possible, what I want is as quick as possible, but still maintaining the good technique. It doesn't do any good to go really fast, but to compromise on your technique. That's no good at all. So we want to slow down enough until where you can still have good technique, but go as fast as possible. So remember, when I say as fast as possible, always have good technique, but as fast as you can with good technique. Here we go. Let's go ahead and practice this quickly. Full speed, full power, concentrating on pushing, keeping your head low, and then stopping, gripping the floor, and pausing. Here we go. Ich. Ni. Son. Chi. Go. Rook. Sich. Hutch. Goop. Ju. Kya. Hey. Switch. Ich. Ni. Son. She. Go. Rook. Sich. Hutch. Gu. Ju. Kya. Hey. And yame. Over the course of your training, you're going to be learning a lot of new stances. Now, each stance has very specific strengths and weaknesses. In your yellow belt book, you can take a look and see the diagrams that show each stance and their strengths and their weaknesses. Now, we're going to go ahead and look at the strengths and weaknesses for the front stance right now. Go ahead and get into the front stance. Now, as you're in this front stance, what I want you to do is just think about specifically if you were attacked from multiple directions, or if you had to defend from multiple directions, which spots feel better as far as being able to block or kick or punch? Now, initially, you're probably going to feel that straight in front feels pretty solid. Okay, my feet are facing that way. I have my knees bent. I feel like we could attack and defend from the front. So this is one of the strengths for this front stance, is being able to defend and attack from the front. But let's look off to this side or this side. Now, if we look over to this side, this is the side that is opening to my hips. Now, this side feels like I could probably do something here as well. It might not be as strong as from the front, but if I needed to here, I could do some blocks, punches. I could rearrange quickly to do a kick here. Okay, so this feels okay. So I would say that this would be my primary area for attacks and defenses. This would be my secondary. Now, let's look at this side here. All of a sudden, we're getting into some weak areas of this stance. As this foot is forward, my hips are kind of opening to this spot. This spot over here becomes awkward. So this right here would be an obvious weakness. From about here back is a definite weak area of this stance. If I was to be able to do something here, I would need to reposition to that. And we do things like stepping through. We practice in our 5 principles, being able to switch quickly to get to that spot. We also have one more spot, and that's directly behind us. Now, in any stance, regardless of what it is, we're going to have a blind spot. Now, a blind spot is the area that you cannot see physically. And also, if I was to turn my head a little bit, even with my peripheral vision, I do have a blind spot. Now, with our peripheral vision, we can see some of the things off to the side. And as I turn my head, I can see some of the things over here as well. I can see some of the things over here as well. But I still definitely have a blind spot right in the back. And this would be true if I'm in any other stance that I'm in. I wish we had eyes in the back of our heads for karate, but we don't. So one thing that you always have to be aware of is what's behind you. And this will be situational awareness, and we'll talk about this more later when we get into fighting. But if at all possible, if you can make sure that whatever is behind you is safe. For instance, if I'm in a room, now here, if I'm next to this wall, I know that I don't have to worry about this wall, and I only need to worry about those areas. So we'll talk about that more later on. When it comes to the front stance, what I want you to do is I want you to spend a little bit of time here. When we're done with this section, go ahead and push pause and spend some time thinking about what can you do in your stance to each one of these spots. And this will maybe be determined by your flexibility. It might be determined by your leg strength. It might be determined by the techniques that you know at this point. But what I want you to do is go ahead and get into a front stance, fighting position, and think about what happens if I want to attack this direction. What can I do? I can do that. I can kick. What happens if I need to do something this direction? How easy is it for me to transition from here to here? Also, make sure you spend time on the other leg. Most likely, you'll feel that you are dominant in one side or the other. So you might find that if I have my right leg forward, I can do certain techniques to the sides easier, whereas if I have my left leg forward, I cannot, or vice versa. It might be that one side you feel like I can do a kick, but because of flexibility or strength, I can't do that kick. And the important thing is for you to find out what works for yourself. I might just say, hey, do that. But depending on you and where you're at, you might not be able to do that. So make sure you spend some time right now going over those stances and seeing what can I do to each spot based off of what I know now. I would also encourage you to take a look at the book and go through the section on stances. Read through all of those strengths and weaknesses and really understand where that strength and weakness is, especially for the front stance. We will be going over the strengths and weaknesses for all of the stances in the future. So make sure you have that front stance down and you understand the strengths and weaknesses for the front stance. Let's spend some time concentrating on our punch. Let's go ahead and isolate the punch by having a normal stance like this. Go ahead and put your hands in your chamber. Again, let's think about the things that make a good punch happen. Twisting at the last moment, making sure that we punch to the middle of our body, punching with the front two knuckles. Let's begin nice and slow. Ich. Ni. Son. Make sure that shoulder is in the back position and locked. Shi. Twisting at the same time. Go. Rook. Sich. Hutch. Gu. Ju. Hey. Let's go medium speed. Ich. Ni. Son. Shi. Go. Rook. Sich. Hutch. Gu. Ju. Yeah. Hey. Let's go full speed. Ich. Ni. Son. Shi. Go. Ruk. Sich. Hach. Gu. Ju. Hey. And Yame. Let's spend some time working on the hip movement when it comes to a punch. Now, as we've talked about in the past, we want to make sure that the power comes from our hip. So when we do our block, we have our hips in the open position so that we have that motion there. But let's look at exactly the timing of this motion when it comes to this reverse punch. Let's go ahead and we're going to get into a shortened front stance. Not a full front stance for this drill, but a shortened front stance, making sure that our feet are still in the front stance position. And go ahead and do a high block. I'll do the side view so you can see here. And at this point, we want to make sure that our hips are into that open position. So see here from the front view, instead of here, making sure that they're off to the side. That makes it to where when we do this reverse punch, we have this hip rotation here. So when I'm here, I can turn my hips and do my punch. Now the timing for this, since my hips and my legs are a larger muscle group, I want to make sure that they go first. They're not going to be able to be as fast as my arm, but we want them to end at the same time. So the timing should look like this, where I start by pushing off with my hips and my leg, push, push, and then when I'm almost there, my arm will start here and then end at the same moment with my hips and my feet and my arms. And I go back to the high block, open position, twist, end at the same time. High block, twist. Let's just practice that a few times together. Start by putting your right leg back. Let's do that half front stance right now and have a high block with your other arm. All I want you to concentrate on this at this drill is turning those hips and then trying to make the punch and the hips end at the same time. We're not going to worry about all of the other details of the stance and things at this point. Right now we're just going to isolate that timing between the hips and the punch. Let's do that high block, and we'll go medium speed. Each. And when you get to the end, go ahead and tighten everything for that moment, and then relax. And now block. Knee. Block. Son. Block. Shi. Block. Go. Tight. And block. Let's switch sides. Again, really working on thrusting that hip forward to get that motion. Ich. Knee. Son. Shi. Go, Kia. Go. Hey. And relax. Good. Now that we've gotten kind of a feel for that hip rotation, let's see how it feels with no hip rotation. Remember I said earlier I want you to make sure that you know why you're doing things. This is a good practice sometimes to do the wrong way so that you can better understand the right way. Let's go ahead and step back. Let's have our hips straight forward. Go ahead and do a high block, hips straight forward. Now at this point, we're going to go ahead and do that reverse punch and not use our hips at all. Just leave them alone, have the hips straight forward. Here we go. Ich. Knee. San. And Yame. We don't need to do that too long because real quick, you're going to realize that, wow, I get a lot of power from those hips. So let's try it a few more times, and let's speed it up a little bit, concentrating on that hip rotation and ending everything at the same time. Here we go. Ich. Back. Knee. Thump. Chi. Go, Kia. Hey. Switch sides. Ich. Knee. Thump. Chi. Go, Kia. Hey. And Yame. Now I want to introduce a new concept for your hips. We have done a couple different types of hip rotation where we have open and closed, reverse regular rotation, and you can read about those a lot in your book, and we've practiced those. Now I want to introduce the concept, though, of hip vibration. Now there are times where you won't specifically be in a stance where we have rotation that's easily available. For instance, if I'm just standing here and I wanted to do a punch, it's really hard because I don't have that range of motion. Say if I'm in a stance, I have a good range of motion for my hips, but as the stance gets shorter and shorter, we lose that ability to have a big dynamic range of hip rotation. So this concept I'm going to introduce now, and it will be one that we'll dive into more later. It's more of a challenging advanced technique, but it's good for you to know it now and start realizing it because you will be seeing it in the videos, and it's something that you can practice as well. This is called hip vibration, and it's really exactly what it says is you have your hips and they vibrate. Now, the idea behind the hip vibration is that it's two very quick motions that are very small. So if I was to do this punch and I don't have a lot of range, what I would do is as I punch, when I get near the end, my hips would vibrate quickly to end that technique. I would also start with a hip vibration here, vibrate, and vibrate back. Also, with the hip vibration is I can vibrate either 1, 2, or 3 very quick motions to determine where I want to end at. Let's say I'm starting here and I want to end slightly open. I can vibrate and end there. Or if I wanted to, I could end here. So it gives a lot of options for the future. And again, we will be discussing this more in some advanced ranks as far as the exact positioning of hip vibration. But for now, let's go ahead and practice hip vibration with a standing punch. Now at first it might feel a little awkward. You need to make sure that your abs are very tight, everything is really strong, and that those motions are very small but very strong. I'll go ahead and demonstrate this a few times for you, and then we'll go ahead and practice it together. Ich. Knee. Son. Chi. Go. Now, you probably noticed that when I do my techniques that my belt and my uniform are making motion here. And that's because of my hip vibration. Go ahead and watch specifically my uniform and see what happens when I do this correctly with the hip vibration. Ich. Knee. Son. Here's from the front view. Ich. Knee. Son. Now I'll go ahead and demonstrate it with no hip vibration, so you can see the difference of the uniform and how it looks overall. Ich. Knee. Son. And from the front view. Ich. Knee. Son. And you've noticed that there's a big difference as far as what moves here. Let's go ahead and practice that now. Go ahead and put your right arm out. And as we do this punch, just concentrate on doing that little hip vibration. And ideally, you want to end that hip vibration with the punch. Here we go. Let's go medium speed, just to try to get a feel for this. Ich. Ni. San. Shi. Go. Rook. Feeling that? Sich. Hach. Gu. Ju. Hey. And relax. Okay, move around a little bit. Let's try it again. I'll do the side view and really concentrate on moving that hip. Here we go. Let's go full speed. Concentrate on that hip vibration. Ich. Ni. San. Ji. Go. Rook. Sich. Hutch. Gu. Juke. Yeah. Hey. And yame. Excellent. So that's kind of an intro into hip vibration. I would encourage you, as you can, to start incorporating those into all of your techniques if possible. Hopefully by now you've had a chance to get a bag or are working on getting a bag at your location. If you haven't yet, I would encourage you this week to get a bag and figure out where to put it at your location. As you see in the videos, it is really important that you spend some time hitting on a bag because it will really help fine-tune your technique. Let's work on the front snap kick. Now, when we do the front snap kick on a bag, a few important points to remember is that we want to make sure that we make contact with this bag with the ball of our foot here. We don't want to hit with our heel. It should be with the ball of our foot. Now, later on, we do have kicks that involve the heel, the top, the sides, and we'll be going over those later. But this particular kick is designed to be a quick kick that penetrates and then comes back. It's supposed to be really fast and just to penetrate a few inches. So this kick isn't designed to knock your opponent over. That would be more like the front thrust kick, which we'll go over later, and that's where you hit with your heel and you thrust your hips. This kick, however, is designed to just be very quick, a few inches into your target, in and out, kicking with the ball of your foot. So as we kick the bag, remember to keep the ball of the foot as far as where you're hitting, and also the hips will thrust just slightly as I kick the bag. Now you notice as I kick the bag isn't going really far back as though it was a thrust kick. That's not what we're trying to do with this kick. So as we kick and back. And in the beginning stages, what you'll do is you'll kick soft. Similar to the punch, we'll start off soft and work our way up as far as how hard you kick the bag. Go ahead and watch as I do this a few times. Ich. Ni. San. Shi. Go. Now, one thing to keep in mind with the front snap kick that's really important is I want to make sure that my energy is going this direction, that my kick power is going towards my opponent. A very common tendency to happen if you're not using the bag is that when you kick, your kick goes up instead of out. And so if you were just practicing without a bag, this motion might feel correct, but you're actually kicking up instead of out. So here's where the bag will help tremendously. Watch the difference. If I kick incorrectly and I kick up, watch what happens. Something like that will happen, where it just slides up the bag and down. So we want to make sure that we come up and we go forward so that the power goes towards the bag here instead of sliding up the bag. So watch a few more times as I do this. Up, out, back, down. And as you can see, if you do have a heavy bag, that's a swinging bag of some sort, you kind of need to time it with the heavy bag so when it comes back, you can kick it. Here we go. Ich. Ni. Son. Shi. Go. Excellent. Spend some time this week, get that heavy bag, and practice your front snap kick, left leg, right leg. Practice low, medium, high, and see if you can get to where you're actually kicking this direction instead of up. And you will greatly increase your skill of your front snap kick by hitting this bag as often as you can. We're going to continue working on the 5-step sparring, number 1 and 2. We're going to go ahead and work on increasing the speed, getting it to a medium speed, again working on the distance and timing aspects, and we're going to introduce a few more Japanese terms. So watch as we do this as far as the Japanese terms and this tempo that you should be shooting for at this point. We'll end with a bow. Now, the term is Migi Yushiro Zinkutsudachi Garambarai, which basically means in Japanese, Migi is right, Yushiro means back, Zinkutsudachi is front stance, Garambarai is a low block. And this is the command that you'll hear when the instructor wants you to step back into a low block, getting ready for your technique. And it is Migi Yushiro Zinkutsudachi Garambarai. And then the instructor will pause slightly, and then Kia. And then when you hear that Kia, you'll step back and get ready. So here's how it will sound. Migi Yushiro Zinkutsudachi Garambarai. Hey! Hey! The person that's attacking will go ahead and get back into a low block. The person that's defending will stay there. Now, I will announce Jodan Oizuki. Jodan meaning head level, Oizuki meaning punch. This is letting my opponent know what I'm going to be doing. I'll be stepping forward with a head level punch. Jodan Oizuki, and when he is ready, he will Kia. Now we'll go ahead and count and show you medium speed. Again, working on distancing and timing. I want to make sure that I provide a good target. Make sure that I have enough speed. Here we go. Ich. Ni. Son. Hey. Yame. Ich. Ni. Son. Hey. Yame. So that is the tempo that we're going to be shooting for. Make sure that you have a partner. Make sure that you have your safety gear on. And let's go ahead and step through this a few times with combination number 1, high block, and number 2 as a low block. Go ahead and do this with us. Kyosuke. Hey. Yo. Migi Yushiro Zinkutsudachi Garambarai. Hey. Hey. Stepping forward. Jodan Oizuki. Hey. Ich. Ni. Son. Hey. Yame. Ich. Ni. Son. Hey. Yame. Again. Ich. Ni. Son. Hey. Yame. Ich. Ni. Son. Hey. Yame. One more time. Ich. Ni. Son. Hey. Yame. Ich. Ni. 손. 헤이. 그다음에 and yo. Escape. Right. Let's practice number 2, low block. Escape. Right. Yo. Migi Yoshirozen Kutsuratsuka number I. Hey! Hey! Step me forward. Get on Zuki. Get on Zuki would be low level punch. Hey! Ich! Knee. Son. Hey! Right. Ich. Knee. Son. Hey! Right. Ich. Knee. Son. Hey! Right. Ich. Knee. Son. Hey! Right. One more time. Ich. Knee. Son. Hey! Right. Ich. Knee. Son. Hey! Yame. Yo position. Escape. Right. And yo. Let's work on isolating our low block and concentrate on that for a few minutes. Let's start by having our right arm out as a low block. We're going to be in the standing position here. Let's go through it slow, thinking about all of the concepts that we need to for the low block. Remember, as we come here, this arm moves in, and then we want to twist at that last possible moment into the chamber. Here we go, nice and slow. Ich. Knee. Son. Twist. Shi. Go. Rook. Sich. Hach. Go. Ju. Hey. Medium speed. Ich. Knee. Son. Shi. Go. Rook. Sich. Hach. Gu. Ju. Hey! Let's go ahead and go full speed. Add that hip vibration in if you can. Ich. Knee. Son. Shi. Go. Rook. Sich. Hach. Gu. Ju. Tight. And yame. I want to talk about a very important aspect of the low block, and that is, when do you twist your arm? At what point do you twist your arm? Now, right now, as we're practicing, we twist the arm at the end, but in reality, when it comes to hitting something or blocking something, when do we want to block? When do we want to twist that arm? Now, there's a lot of complicated answers to that question, and a lot of things really depend on the situation and what you're blocking. If you're blocking hard objects, say like a bat or a stick or a leg, versus an arm or a body. And those things we'll look into quite a bit later as far as the details. But the general idea is that we have to look at what is the purpose of this block. Now, the purpose of the block is usually to deflect something off to the side. we have somebody that's attacking us with a kick or a punch, and the purpose is to take that attack and deflect it off to the side. So with that in mind, what we want to do is we want to do all of the things that make that the most effective block. That would include when we have contact of twisting and then stopping quickly. That motion of twist and then stopping quickly will make it to where that thing that we're blocking moves off to the side quicker. If I was to make contact with the block and then slowly go to here and then stop slowly, that object is still going to be there and it could push back. So when we stop quickly, it's kind of like that whip motion. It makes it to where the energy forces it to keep on going that way. Also, when we twist, that will create extra energy that will help move it off to the side as well. So the basic answer for now is that we want to make contact with the object and then twist. What we don't want to do is twist first and then just make striking contact. Okay, that might be somewhat of an effective block, but it's not as effective as if we make contact here and then twist. And remember, one of the things that we want to do in our blocks is we want to use as little energy as possible to make the block effective. If I was to go here and I can only use maybe 50% of my energy to make that block effective, that's great. Now I have more energy for the counterattack. When we do our counterattacks, our kicks and our punches and strikes, we'll use more energy on that and less on the blocks. So as you do this, think about making contact and then twisting. The same is true pretty much for any block. As we do our high block, we're here, we make contact with the object, and then we twist. Later on, we'll be doing other blocks. You'll make contact, and then you'll twist. So as you do this low block, think about that. I'm going to make contact, twist. Make contact, twist. Now, this is a very hard concept to practice when you're practicing by yourself. And I would encourage you to make sure that you grab a partner, go through this together. This is where you could simply stand against each other and just have somebody punch low, make contact, twist. Make contact, twist. Contact, twist. Now, you're not going to stop as I'm showing you here, but just emphasizing make the contact first and then twist. Let's do this a few more times, thinking about that in your mind. Make contact, twist. Contact, twist. Here we go. Ich, contact, twist. Ni, contact, twist. Son, she, go, rook, sich, hutch, goo, Jew, hey, and yamai. Now, as we practice our techniques up till now, you've noticed that we've done a lot of things where we have full range of motion, full stances, really working on understanding the movement. And as we train towards fighting or sparring, we're not going to be doing those full range of motions when we're actually fighting an opponent. It really wouldn't be practical to fight like this, as it's very slow. But one thing that we want to make sure that we do is that we understand the principles of why we are doing the full range of motion in each technique. We have the twisting, we have when we twist, and we want to take those concepts and we want to move them to a shorter range of motion. Because ideally, we want to be able to do from this position any techniques. But we necessarily don't want to do slower full range of motion, we want to be able to do everything from here, but still have it be just as effective. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and work on that low block and shrink that range of motion down. But what we want to still do is make sure that we have all of those elements as far as twisting, contraction, hip rotation, gripping the floor in a shorter range of motion. Let's give this a try. Go ahead and get into a fighting position here. Just shoulder width apart, arms up. Now from this point, what I should be able to do is do a low block with this lead arm here. Now, initially, if I was just to do this, I'm lacking a lot of the things that we've been working on. So we want to make sure that when we do this, we don't just move our arm. We have a lot of other things. We've talked about hip vibration. We've talked about tension of the body, gripping the floor, twisting that lash motion. Okay? We want to be able to apply all of those things into this shorter range of motion. So let's do this a few times, thinking about applying all of those techniques and not just simply moving my arm. Watch to see how this will look if I do this correctly. Ich, and back. Knee. Son. Now ideally, we want to do as little motion, remember, as possible. This arm really doesn't need to do anything. All that needs to happen is for this arm to complete the block. I do as minimal motion as possible to make the block effective. Let's do this together. Here we go. Stand up in this position, fighting position. Let's go medium speed. Ich, and back. Knee. And you should be feeling tension everywhere. And relax. Son. Shi. Go, kia, hey. And let's switch sides. Ich. Knee. Son. Shi. Go, hey. And yame. I would encourage you, as we practice these techniques in the full range of motion, in kata, in forms, 5 principles, is take those and bring them up to a standing position and try them in a standing position as well, concentrating on all of those techniques and all of the principles that we learn and try to apply them to a standing position. We're going to work on application some more, and I would like to introduce the Level 2 application that you can see in your Yellow Belt book. Now, the Level 2 application is designed to take the practice from instead of a full stance, full range of motion, as in Level 1, bringing that up to a fighting position and shrinking the range of motion. Now, we want to still make sure that we have the dynamics, the twisting of the wrist, the tightening of the body, all of those fundamentals that we practice. We want to try to bring those into this as we shrink the range of motion. So watch this here as we do number 1. Before, we did a full low block and a stepping punch. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and get into a fighting position. Go ahead and switch stances there so they can see. And my opponent will punch low level. Go ahead and punch low level. From here, what I want to do is I want to take this lead arm, and instead of doing this full range of motion, I want to do partial range of motion. All I need to do is block straight from here. I want to make sure, though, that I'm twisting, okay, that I still have good tension. I still have my hips in the right position. Now from here, I can go ahead and do a punch. Okay? Now in the kata, it is a stepping punch, but in application and in real life, your opponent isn't always necessarily in the exact spot that you want them to be. And so we have to adjust. We have to make adjustments off of this. So if my opponent punches and stays there, this would be the appropriate punch. Now, if my opponent punches and steps back, then I can do a full stepping punch. If my opponent does here and maybe comes forward a little bit more, I might have to even adjust as my opponent comes in. Or the same is true if I go here and my opponent starts stepping backwards and he continues to go back, I might need to adjust even more to make that happen. So as you think about the distancing can change forward and back depending on where my opponent is. So keep that in mind as you work on applications. For this one, the level 2, the first one, what we're simply going to do is punch low and a reverse punch and come back. We want to bring our fist back to the fighting position. So he'll punch, reverse punch, bringing them back to here so that I'm always protected. So watch how this will work. Ich, and back. Knee, and back. Son, and back. Now, things to remember. I want to make sure my timing is good with the punch. I want to punch and then come back. Okay? Always come back to this position. Sheet. And I'm working on my timing, my distancing. Go. Now what would be good is if my opponent would step back possibly, okay? Or step forward a little bit. So if you are the person that's attacking, go ahead and vary that up a little bit so that the person that's doing the reverse punch can work on some distancing. Ich. Knee. Son. She. Go. And yame. Excellent. So work on the level 2, application number 1 with your partner, and think about these things, bringing your fist up to a fighting position, working on that distancing and timing, and see if you can really work each other to try to figure out that distancing that's needed, whether you need to go forward or back. Excellent. This concludes the Yellow Belt Training Class 5. Spend some time and do a personal cool down and spend some time stretching. Good escape. Great. Yo.